Zoe, this is a really quick and simple recipe. My Uncle Bob taught me this one, and it just goes together beautifully in one pot. Now, it starts with pork, and you can see this is a beautiful, nice, big chunk of pork. Yeah. Bob always said, you know, make sure it's a big piece of pork. What I'm going to do is braise that nice and gently. And this is from the butt, so it's got lots of fibre in it and lots of flavour. But what I'm going to get you to do to start with, because Portuguese food, they use a lot of garlic. Can you cut them in half? Yep. Cut all the cloves of garlic in half. And what I've got here is my pan is really, really hot. I'm going to put some salt on my pork, because salt loves pork and pork loves salt. And also meat as well. There we go. Now, put lots of pepper on there as well. And what I'm going to do, Zoe, now this pan is really, really hot. So I'm going to put the pork in to start with, and then I'm going to put the oil on top of it. I'm using a good non-stick pan, so I don't have to worry about anything sticking. You can hear that sizzling already, and as soon as I put the oil into the pan, you're really going to hear it rocking. Look at that. There we go. Now, Zoe, if you can grab that rosemary, strip off the rosemary leaves, and then chop it up nice and coarsely. I think that'd be nice. Listen to that sizzle. And what I'm after, Zoe, is you can see already the pork's starting to brown off. I want that golden sort of colour. And by sealing it off like this, you lock in the flavours and seal in the juices. So I know that pork is going to be nice and succulent and juicy, just the way my Uncle Bob used to make for me. Now, Zoe, I've got these onions here. If you can cut them into, you know, 6s or 8s, nice and sort of coarse, probably the same size as the garlic. And this is where the fun starts. This is where we have to have a little bit of fun with our food, I suppose. Butter. We need to make sure we cook with lots of butter. And that's what my Uncle Bob taught me, to put lots of butter into everything I cook.
Is Uncle Bob still alive?
He's still rocking somewhere. We don't know where he is, but he's around somewhere. So what I'm going to do is add my onion and my garlic into the pan with the rosemary. And now I'll start adding some spices. I've got some cinnamon and just a little bit of allspice. There we go. And a little bit of clove as well. Just a tiny bit of clove in there. And I've also got some chilli, just a few little chilli flakes.
Love the chilli.
Add some chilli flakes in there. There we go. I'll put them all in there. About a teaspoon of each. Now, the potato, Zoe, what I want you to do is cut it into big chunks, because the potato is going to cook at the same time as the pork. So we want it nice and chunky like that. And what I'll do with my tongs is I'll just move it all around here. What I want is the butter to slowly sweat down and just soften up the onions and the garlic, and also get those spices moving around nice and gently. How's that look?
No, I mean, it's interesting. I've never been to Portugal, but Portuguese food, it's such a mixture of different flavours. I mean, it's got so many different spices in there. I love the addition of the chilli, but they do use a lot of pork. And
not only that, you'll find Portuguese food all over the world. Places like Goa in India, you'll find Portuguese food and Portuguese people, speaking people. There we go. I'll just give that a little stir around. You can see the onions and the garlic have softened up a little bit, which is what I want. And what I'll do now, Zoe, is grab the potatoes and just pop them in the middle of the pork.
Nuzzle them in the pork.
Snuggle them in the pork. But you can see they're cut about the same size as the pork. So I want them to cook at about the same size. Now I'm going to put some vinegar in here, some red wine vinegar, good little splash of that, probably 2-3 tablespoons. Some white wine goes in there as well, about half a cup of white wine goes in there. And of course, some chicken stock. And what I want to do is just put enough chicken stock so it just covers the pork and the potatoes. Okay. There we go.
Lovely.
Just pop that in like that. And then a little bit of salt on top and a little bit of pepper. You can see the butter's risen to the top. And that's the beautiful thing. The butter's picked up all the flavour of the pork and the spices and everything that's in there. And what we do now is tip off the butter, keep that, and then throw the rest away. We don't do that. What we're going to do now is throw this into the oven. It'll cook at about 175 degrees Celsius. It'll take about an hour to an hour and a half to cook. The liquid will reduce down. The potatoes will cook nicely and go nice and golden. The pork will crisp up on top, and we'll have this beautiful colour on top and tender pork, which is what's going to be delicious. Tell you what, it smells like Uncle Bob's house. There we go, without the cigar smell. There we go. A little bit of parsley on there. And you can see the pork's cooked nice and and gently.
And it's crisped on top. I like that.
Nice and crispy. You need to have crispy pork and crispy potatoes. Comes together beautifully. It's a real one-pot wonder, this dish, isn't it?
This is a hearty dish. I mean, for me, I feel like this is more of a winter dish. But yeah, I'm interested to try it.
There we go. Cut straight into there. And you can see the pork just falls apart. Make sure you're soaking in some of those juices there. You could just imagine eating this with a big, chunky loaf of bread as well.
Oh, hot.
Gorgeous. And the pork is delicious. It's really flavoursome.
You know, Adrian, this is a very sort of comforting type dish, but yeah, I think your Uncle Bob would be very pleased with you.
I think so.